Yo people, what's up and welcome to today's special video. It's the 100 subscribers special celebration video. Yay! So, first of all, before we begin, let me thank you again from the bottom of my heart. It has been an amazing few months, the last few months really, and it's been an absolute joyride for me. It's been amazing. I had a lot of people subscribing, I had a lot of comments, you know, interacting with people. It was tons of fun and I really appreciate it, guys. So I thought for my 100 subscriber special video I would do something related to Jagged Alliance, because these videos have been very popular, and also something, you know, something useful. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna insert this face into Jagged Alliance, and I'm gonna show you how you can do it yourself. To be fair, it is a bit of work, so it's not as easy as just drag and drop, you know, you have to actually do something. And the thing is, when I did research on this topic, there's guides out there, but they're a bit all over the place. So you have to look a bit here, a bit there, in that forum and this guide, and you have to stitch it together. So I hope this one will be a bit more comprehensive, you know, will show you from A to Z how it's done, or at least very basically how you can do it. There's a bit more technical, special things that I won't go into, but yeah. Okay, so let's start. I'm gonna structure this into two parts, mainly because part 1 is a lot easier than part 2, and part 2 is also optional if you really don't want to bother. So part 1 is putting your visual appearance inside Jagged Alliance. This is rather easy. Alright, so let me show you first of all where the faces of the IMP mercenaries are hidden. Go into your Jagged Alliance folder, wherever it is, and then go into Data 1.13. And in this folder you will see a folder called IMPfaces. Once you're in the IMPfaces folder, you will see the following things. Just little heads up, it might look a bit different on my computer because I have installed a mod with different faces, but just the basic gist of it. You will see a lot of STI files, and you'll see these folders here. And I'll explain just shortly what these are. First off, STI files are just the Jagged Alliance way to store images. It's just a specific type of data. And you can open these up with an STI editor. I have one over here that I use. And I'll put a download link into the description of this video so you can get it as well. And so these files here that are in the IMPfaces folder, these are like the standard face that is used in like the combat menu, or if your mercenary talks at the top left of the screen, you know, if there's a text box and he says something. That's what these STI files are for. They contain the normal face and the animations. And then there is wood camo, urban camo, desert camo, which are just the same face but with camo. If you don't want to deal with camo, you can also just copy your normal face in there, the one that is in this folder right here. And then if you put on camo, the face won't change and it will just work as normal. BigFaces is used for the creation menu, the IMP creation menu, and the I think the laptop statistics menu. So it's just like a bigger picture of the IMP with a bit of background, you know. And animated faces, you can ignore that. I think that is for NPCs only, but I could be wrong, but I didn't have to do anything in there. Then 65 and 33 face are just smaller versions of the normal IMP face. So they are used for different parts of the interface, basically. So for example, if you go into a sector and you come onto the screen where you need to place your mercenaries, the face down there, it's a smaller version. That's, I think, 65 or 33 face. So they're just scaled down. Alright, so first thing you need to do is to create your own STI file. And the easiest way to do this is to get one and copy it and renaming it. For example, I have here 215 and then 217. So 216 is an ID that is not used right now. So I'll just copy this one and rename it 216. There we go. Let's open this up and see what it does. If you want to open these up just by double click like that, what you need to do for that is to open up your STI edit exe here as an administrator, and then you have to click this button here. If you do that, then all your STI files will by default open with that editor. It's very convenient actually. So let me open up that one. So you can see this is a copy of one of the female IMPs. And you have the face right here. Don't click on the face because you can actually, if you select one of these tools, you can actually draw onto this, but you don't want that obviously. You can zoom in, see a little bit more what's going on. Over here you have the color palette. These are just the colors used to make this face. And the color palette is limited. So you'll have to use the exact right color palette for your face. I'll show you in a bit how you can easily load the right color palette. Also, in this face right here, in the STI that is in the IMPfaces folder, you have this slider up here, and you can change pictures. So here you can see there's different pair of eyes and different mouths. These are used for animation. Alright, so let's start off with creating this face, and then we'll go over to these bits for animation. I have made a photo of myself. Actually, I made two photos of myself. The first one is this, which is like more of a portrait photo, and that is perfectly fits perfectly for this one. And then I also made a second one for the BigFaces. I'll show you later. So basically what you need now is a photo editing software. I use Photoshop. And you'll have to make a portrait like that. And this has to be a very specific height and width. For this one you'll need a height of 48 pixels and a width of 43 pixels. So that's exactly this right here. Let me just make a new one just to show you what I mean. So 48 by 43 pixels. There we go. And now you obviously want to put in your own image. Obviously you can also use images from games, for example. You can use your favorite game character, you can use your favorite superhero, whatever you want, right? So take this image, copy it, and then put it right here. And obviously it's way too big, as you can see. So we have to scale it down a lot because Jagged Alliance is an old game. It uses very low resolution pictures. Alright, so the thing is, you don't want to scale it down too much. For example, I could scale it down like this. But if I do, then the eyes and the mouth will be very hard to even see. You have to imagine the picture will then be displayed in about this size. And right now you cannot even see the eyes correctly. And that is very hard to animate later. So what you want to do is to have the eyes and the mouth, and you just want to have like a cutout of your face so it fits both the eyes and the mouth onto the picture. Something like that, you know? You don't have to see the top of your head, you just want to see the whole of your mouth and the whole eyes and the eyebrows and a bit space above that. Something like that. And now if we zoom out a little bit again, you can see the eyes are very clearly visible, mouth is also visible very clearly. That's like a good size. I would go with something like that. The background is not really... you don't really have to do anything with that. You can go with black or with a solid color, whatever you like. Depends on the photo you're using, basically. So let me just jump back to my other one, this one. If you have this cutout of your face that you want to use, you have to save this one as BMP file. Most of your picture editing softwares will be able to just simply do that. And I've already saved this one as face.pmp. So let me just overwrite that real quick. now you can put this face into here using this button up here. But let me just show you what happens if I do that right now. Where do I have my faces? Oh yeah, right here. Face data. There we go. That's where my faces are. So the one that I made just now is this one. Now you can see it looks a bit odd, doesn't it? That's because it tried to create this face using this color palette, and this color palette is not quite right. So what we'll have to do is click this button here, then again navigate to our face, like so, and then we can just load this face as a color palette. Now it changed up the color palette. It put in like the skin tone that I have and all the other colors that are in the picture. Don't be irritated, sometimes it puts in weird colors. That's basically if it, I guess it does this when it already has all the colors and it just puts in some random other colors. Doesn't really matter. Now I'll just have to reload my face here, just real quick. And now you should be able to see. There we go. Now it looks a lot more lovely, doesn't it? And now you can save this one. And next up we have to edit the mouth and the eyes, because this is what Jagged Alliance does for animation. It does not really animate the face, it just puts other parts, other eyes and other mouth pieces over the actual image, and that makes it look like it's animated. So you'll have to create these, and there is basically, let me just open up one of the other ones, this one again, and there's like 4 different eye pieces and 3 different mouth pieces. Let me zoom in a little bit. The first eye piece is eyes closed. Then the second one I think is like squinting, like that. And the third one is angry. The fourth one is like surprised, scared, like with big like eyebrows all up on your forehead like this, like oh my god, something like that. Then the 3 mouths. There's one with like showing teeth, like not really angry, but just showing a row of teeth. Then there's one slightly open mouth with teeth, and the third one is, I like to call it the O face, but that's really how it looks to me. It really looks like oh. And this is mostly used if you're like your mercenary gets hit, you know, if it's like oh that hurts, something like that. So you'll have to recreate all of these. And now let me jump back in here. Now this picture had a very set height and width you needed to follow. With the eyes and the mouth it's a bit more flexible. Basically you just want to select a part of your face here that contains the eyes and the eyebrows. Or for the mouth obviously you just want to select like the mouth part, like so. And you want to copy that. There we go, like so. And I'll always go into like a new file, and then just put it here. There we go. Now you can edit these to make these other set of eyes. And as I said, you can choose what kind of size you want in this cutout, but all 4 pieces of the eyes and all 3 mouth pieces must be the same size. That's the only constraint you're having. Otherwise you can use like a very big cutout, you can use a smaller one. Obviously it's easier to work with if you have a bigger cutout, but I wouldn't go overboard if I was you. So now I'll just edit one really quick just to show you what I mean. You'll just have to like experiment around a little bit, be a bit creative how to achieve these different faces. So for example, I want to make closed eyes, so I'll just use some of these the skin color here just to cover up the eyes basically. And then I'll use some of the darker color here to make like slits, you know, something like that. Zoom out. I always suggest to you zoom out a little bit, because if you zoom out that's the actual picture you will see in game, you know. So don't zoom in that hard, because if you do that, you'll see all the errors and mistakes you made. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see, yeah, that looks about fine. That's okay for eyes closed, right? So you will save this as well as a BMP file. Let me just go into my folder here. For example, I have already done this. So as you can see, these are all the same size. And for the mouth, it's the same thing. All the same size, just little differences. Now, if you want to know how it actually looks in game, you can already kind of preview how it looks. Let me just go back to my other face here, this one. So if you want to know how this looks in game, you can copy these things, these eyes and face and mouth parts you made. You can copy these into here, because most picture editing softwares obviously today work with layers, so you can just put the eyes and the mouthpieces above your normal face and just hide them, and then you can display them like this. So for example, I just put this over here, and now I'm a bit more angry. Now I'm talking. So that's how it would look in game. Same for the eyes. And actually, I would suggest you do that, because this will help you in a later part very much so. So just copy at least one set of eyes and one set of mouth into your like picture here, just to position them and see how it looks, if it looks good. And as I said, just save these all as BMP files, like so. And then you do the same thing as before. You open up your SDI file, and then you start replacing all the mouth and eye pieces. So this one, these look now very strange, because these are the old IMP's mouth and eye parts, but with the new color palette. So these look kind of fucked up. So we'll just start to put in all the eye and mouth pieces, like so. And you'll do that for every eye and mouthpiece. I obviously have it prepared already, so I'll show you how it looks. There we go. All eyes and mouths in our SDI. Obviously, you need to save it as well. And then you have your first face SDI data complete. And now, because I'm lazy, I'm not going to do the camo separately. I'm just going to copy this and put one of them into wood camo, one in urban camo, and one in desert camo. There we go. Next up, BigFaces. So here we do the same again. We go to 215, copy this one, and name it 260. Always name it the same number, that's very important. If you open this up, this is like, as I said, a bigger like profile picture. So what I have done for this, I have taken the image I showed you before with the gun. I cut out the background and replaced it with like a generic like war zone kind of looking background, you know. And this needs to be a very specific size as well. This needs to be 106 pixels by 122 pixels. So 106 wide, 122 high. Then you save this as a BMP file again. And then you open up your BigFaces SDI, the one that you just copied, and replace the big face with your own big lovely face. And again, I just forgot that I need to do that. There you can actually see very well what happens if you don't have the right color palette loaded. And now I need to obviously load it again. So load your color palette first and then your image. That's the better way to do it. There we go. Now we save that. And now we also need to do the same thing for 65 face and 33 face. Let me just copy these as well. And yes, these are just very small versions of your standard face. And the 33 33 face needs to be 15 by 14 pixels, and the 65 face needs to be 31 by 27 pixels. So I basically just took the normal face that we had, this one, and just scaled it down to that specific pixel amount. So here is 65 and that's 33 face. Very, very small, but yeah. So you'll want to obviously first load color palette and then insert into the STI file your own image. 65. Yeah, this looks weird, I know, but it doesn't matter. The editor is sometimes kind of awkward because it doesn't remember your folder that you were just in, so you always have to navigate it. One neat trick, actually, if you don't mind the a bit messy workplace, so to speak, you can save all your BMP files in the folder where the STIs are in, so then you don't have to navigate all the way to your BMP files. That's a way you can do it, technically. It's a bit messy, but it's faster. And now 33 face, same deal as before. To 16. Open up. Replace color palette first with your own face, and see, now there is not a lot of colors that it needs to fill, so the rest of it is just black. Also, actually a neat little thing, because I thought I would have to edit my own image a bit more to make it look a bit more comical, so it fits into the Jagged Alliance universe, so to speak. But actually, because it only uses a limited color palette, it already does this by itself, so to speak. So it looks alright most of the time. So there we go. So this is all the faces that you need to put into these folders. If you have done that, then the next step is to tell the game to use these faces. And for that, we're going one folder back, and then we go into table data. We're still in the data 1.13 folder, but we go into table data now. And here we have IMPportraits. So this is an XML file. You want to open this up with an editor, so you can open it up with the standard Windows editor, or what I prefer much more is actually the Notepad++. So let's open this up. Alright, if you open this up the first time, you'll see, first off, there's like a very big comment at the top of the file that gives you some information about what the file is about and what the options are. So, and below that, then here are the definitions for the different IMPfaces. So let me go through here, and if you want to add a new one, obviously you just need to copy one and then paste it below. Here, again, I cut out number 16 just for demonstration purposes. Normally, just take the last one, copy it, and make it the number one bigger. There we go. Let me go through these all. Now this one, the first one, that's a comment. That's not interpreted by the game. It's just for you as the guy editing the file, that you know, this is entry number 215. So I'll rename that just for making it clear. UI index, that's just a unique ID each of these faces have. So 15, now this one is 16, 17, 18, just it needs to be unique, that's important. So just count one up from the last that is used. Portrait ID, this is the number of your STI files. So we had 216, that's what we're using here. Sex, obviously, 1 is female, 0 is male. So I myself am a male, so I'm gonna put in 0. Obviously, if you put in, I don't know, Wonder Woman, for example, you could put Wonder Woman in the game, then you have to set this to 1. Now, here we go. This is a very important step, and you don't fuck this up, because otherwise your face will look super weird when it's talking. Eyes X, eyes Y, mouth X, and mouth Y are the coordinates that the game needs to know to overlay the different pairs of eyes and the mouth. It needs to know exactly where to put these so it doesn't look weird. And how you can find this out, going back to my editor, you'll remember that we put in the bits of eyes and faces and mouthpieces just to see how it looks. It actually also serves for the purpose to see what these coordinates are. So in Photoshop, for example, I have a little scale here that tells me in pixels how big this thing is. So now I have deactivated the layer with the face, and now I'll activate one of the eye layers. There we go. And now I can see, if I look the top scale, this is 1, 2, 3 pixels from the left. And then the other thing we need to know is from the top. So this is 4 pixels from the top. Right? So we're gonna put this in here to 16. Where are we? There we go. So it was 3 pixels from the left, 4 from above. So X is from the left side, Y is from top. And you do the same thing for the mouth as well. So you're gonna look here. That's 11, 12 pixels from left. And from top, it is... that's 29, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, you can always change these. If you see it's slightly off, you can go back here and change them. And then these values here are just default values that your in-game model will use if you create the mercenary. If you go into IMP creation menu, after you select the portrait, there's like the in-game model, and the default skin, hair, shirt, pants, and if it's a big guy or a small guy can be defined here. And if you need to know exactly what is what, you go at the top of the file and you can see default skin, which number corresponds to which skin. So for example, for myself would use pink skin, black, brown hair, black shirt and black pants. So 0011. Go back to 216. Where are we? So default skin 0, default hair 0, default shirt 1 and 1. And big body 0 means you're a slender guy and 1 means you're a big guy. And I'm not quite sure what happens if you use default big body 1 on a woman. I would not try it. I guess it might cause an error. So just this is only an option for guys. But for me, myself, I'll leave it at 0. Then you need to save this. And now you could already go into game and check out if your portrait is in the game. And actually, we will do that right now. Alright, I started a new game. We're in the IMP profiling system. So we're just gonna put test. This is a test. And obviously you'll have to select the gender that your portrait or your face is corresponding to. And now in appearance. Now you need to scroll through these, and now you should be able to see your own guy. There we go. That's how you put them in. And I've also, actually, I tried some other things just in testing. So you can use like movie characters, just random art I found on the internet. And this thing, this is my first try when I didn't have the color palette right. That happens if you don't load your correct color palette. But yeah, there we go. So you use this one.
Time for the enemy to say its prayers.
Now our voice is not yet loaded, but we'll just select like a random voice and then go further. Let me just go through this real quick. It's not really important. And just show you how it looks in game. Alright, so you can already see up here we have the face. It actually just moved right now, which is, there we go, it's like a little twitch. Now let's go into Omerta and see how the animation of the face looks.
Countryside looks a little too damn quiet for my liking. I say we find this Miguel dude and hanker down.
There we go. So you see, that already works perfectly.
Enemies have been detected in this area.
There we go. So let me just exit now real quick. So this is the first part of the tutorial, obviously completed. As I said, this was the easy or less labor-intensive part. And now, obviously, if you want to go to full hog, if you want to go full in immersiveness, so to speak, you also want to put in your own voice. Or if you put in like a movie character, this is actually even more complicated in my opinion. You'll have to put in voice of that character somehow. So, as I said, part 2 is optional, but here we go. Alright, welcome to part 2, where we take a look at how we put our own voice into Jagged Alliance. First off, you need to know what kind of voice lines you need to do. And for that, we go into data 1.13 and then go into speech. Now there's a bunch of files in here, and there are, most importantly, the WAV files here. There's a whole bunch of them. And just to give you an idea, the front number is the ID of the voice, so 225, there's a whole lot of 225 here, and then the number at the back is what kind of voice line this is corresponding to. So there's a whole lot of predefined voice lines, and each of these has a number. So for example, I think 000 or 000 is seize enemy, I think. So 225 dash or underscore 000 is the character, the voice character, or the character with the ID 225, what he says when he sees enemies. That's basically how this is built up. And if you want to know what kind of voice lines you have to record for your IMP mercenary, because these are kind of different, because for example an AIM mercenary, so one of the ones you can hire from AIM or AIM, they have a whole lot of different voice lines, because these mercenaries have people they love, people they hate, and they have to voice these opinions. Obviously, they can voice opinions about the contract, about payment, so there's a whole bunch of voice lines there. IMP mercenaries have less of those. So, actually I think IMP mercenaries have the least voice lines, unless you do like an NPC which has like a very limited number of lines. So we go down here and you'll want to get all these 304 voice lines here. You want to you can either copy them into a different folder or just have them here and listen to these. 304, this ID corresponds to the chaotic male voice, I think it's called. So let's have a listen.
The hordes keep coming!
Yes, that's this kind of voice. So you want to listen to these to recognize what kind of voice line you need to go for. I'll also link like a forum post in the description below, where a guy is giving a good rundown of what kind of voices or voice lines you need to record, what the specific numbers are all about. Let's just listen to a few more.
Ah, well, death waits for us all.
Alright.
Ah, magnificent.
So yeah, with the list that I will provide you and the voice lines you get from this character, you should be able to kind of gauge what kind of voice line you need to go for. So I've already recorded these. There's a whole bunch of them, and it takes a while to record these, and depending on the voice you're doing, it's gonna be really taxing on your voice. Now bear in mind, I'm not a professional voice actor, so these are gonna be a little bit weird, probably. So let's just listen. Let's see.
Death waits for me.
Alright, so let's see how I voice this.
If I die, delete my browser history.
There we go. So that's what the character says if he's about to die. So you have a whole bunch of these, and once you have recorded all of these voice lines, again, as with the picture, you just want to name them the ID. You want to name the ID one higher than the last one you have. So 304 is the last one I have in here, so I've named them 305, and I'll copy those, put them in here. And that's not quite all of the speech that you need to do. There's some more. If we go back, there's another folder here called BattleSNDS, or Battle Sounds. Now, the game kind of differentiates between these voice lines we just took a look at. These are voice lines that always come with a like a character speech bubble box, you know? That's the things that they say in different situations. And battle sounds are more generic, like small voice lines. They say, if you, for example, if you click on them, they're going like yes, something like that. And if you send them somewhere, they're like, yeah, Roger, got it, something like that. And there's also sounds if you get hit, sounds if you're dying, sounds if you're finding something. All these little voice lines, like reaction voice lines. And again, what you want to do is to copy the 304 one, just to see how they sound. For example, I think this one.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's 303, obviously, not 304. There, 304.
Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, rats. Oh. Ah. Yes. Taken care of. Locked tight.
So you see, that's these kind of small voice lines. And of course I recorded them the same.
Contact. Whatever. It's locked.
Alright, so you want to take all of these and you have to name them very specifically. So there's 305 and then underscore, and then there's these like short names for what they do. So ATTN, for example, is like attendance. So if you click on him,
Yep.
stuff like that. Got it is when you send them somewhere. Enemy, obviously. Attend is low moral okay, low moral okay too, stuff like that. So there's a whole bunch of them. Just copy them into here. I have already done this. And now there's a few more steps. So the thing is, this to finalize this and put it together is actually very smart, very fast and very simple, but the recording of the voices takes a while. And obviously if you want to take a voice from like a movie character, then you have to get the audio with that character's voice and you have to cut it up. It's even more complicated. So a lot of people might want to skip this, but yeah. So to tell the game what kind of voices it needs to use, you go to table data again, and now IMPvoices. So we open this up with an editor again. And up here we have a little comment again with descriptions. So just what the parameters are about. Voice set can be 0 to some number, doesn't really matter, and sex is O, male, 1, female, right? So here we have all the voices that you can select if you're in the IMP creation menu. So the voice set name is the name that is displayed in the menu. So male 1, 2, 3, 4, Russian, male chaotic. That's 304. So here again, I'm gonna copy this one. Make sure you get all the tags here. So the voice, the 2 voice tags here as well. And then I'll call it shadow. Oh god. There we go. And voice set, that's the ID corresponding to your voice set. So that's 305. Sex, 0. That's correct. Let's save that. And now we are still not quite finished. Because whenever your character says something and this little box appears on top with the text in it, that of course needs to be done as well, obviously. And for that you have to go into go back for table data and go into merc edt. Now here you'll find a bunch of so-called EDT files. This is a weird file format. I have no idea why they have done it this way. They could have put it into simple text files, but hey. I don't really care. To open up these EDT files, you actually will need a EDT editor. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. So we'll open up. Let me just go into that folder real quick. Jagged Alliance. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Jagged Alliance Gold. There we go. Where is it? Merc EDT. And now here, I have already copied the 304 and renamed it to 305. Again, you always have to go with the same ID. Remember that. And if you open this up, I'm gonna open up the one that I already edited here. There's gonna be this weird dialogue in Russian. Don't ask me what this is. Just say yes, it works. And then you're in this kind of table setup here. And here in Russia, I think that's the numbers 1 to 9 in Russian, I assume. And then number 10, yada yada yada. And these correspond to your sound files, right? So here you will type in the text that appears in the box. So for example, we're going to 305,
Enemy contact.
There we go. So we write enemy contact. Or for example, number 13, out of ammo.
Damn it, out of ammo.
So yeah, so you'll just type in the text in here. What do you need? There's some that will be empty. These are just voice lines your character doesn't use. For example, there's a lot, as I said, for the AIM mercenaries where they're complaining about payment, about who they're working with, and these you just can't leave them empty. So just fill out the ones that are already there with your text, and then you're saving it, and then you're ready to go. So now, let's go in-game and see how it looks. Alright, so let's just make our character here. There we go. Now, appearance, obviously, we already have our guy here. There we go.
The enemy to say its prayers.
And now you obviously have to skip to your voice.
Here we go. Roll for initiative.
There we go. And the voice line that is said in here, I'm not quite sure which number it is, but there's a specific voice line your character says when he first encounters an enemy in a sector. That's the voice line they're gonna say in here. Click on next, obviously, just create your character as you would normally do. I'll just skip over most of this stuff. Doesn't really matter. Yes, that's fine. Alright, so now I'll give you a short in-game demonstration. Here we go.
Alright, we're here. Quest number 1, find Miguel.
It works! Awesome!
There are bad guys somewhere around. Keep your eyes open.
Yes, there we go. So we have ourselves in the game. I'll just activate cheats right now, just to see where the enemies are. And maybe show off some other voice lines, you know.
Way.
So that what you just said right there, this on my way.
Somebody is creeping around here.
That didn't have a dialogue box, that was one of the battle sounds. And all the other sounds are the ones with the dialogue boxes.
Here we go. Roll for initiative.
There we go. So let me
Roger.
just kill some dudes right now and showcase some more voice lines here. Oh god, I'm bad at aiming, obviously, because I basically made a shit character.
Roger.
So we need to get very, very close.
Oh, critical hit. God damn.
Oh god, I'm so bad at aiming. There we go.
Hell yeah. Roger. Roger.
So yeah, this is actually very awesome for me that I managed to do this. At the start, when I came up with the idea, was I actually kind of intimidated because it looked very complicated, especially the voice lines. But I think it works actually quite well.
Hell yeah.
So let me just teleport real quick.
Enemy contact.
Oh, he's on the roof, is he?
Damn it. Out of ammo. And another one bites the dust. That's it. We're the last man standing.
There we go. So, that's how you put yourself into Jagged Alliance with appearance and voice. And sometimes there will be errors, sometimes it will not work at the first time. There's some common errors that you could encounter. For example, if you edit the files that are in the normal data folder and not the 1.13 data folder.
Roger.
There's stuff like that. For example, the first time I put in the voice, I edited the wrong IMPvoices thing, and then basically my character had like a default voice. So that's one of the signs that you have edited possibly a wrong file. If you forgot the EDT file, there will be no dialog boxes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you have to take care of, but I think it's actually very cool if you can put yourself into a game like that. Just the possibility that you can do that is, in my opinion, awesome. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Again, thank you very much for all the awesome comments, the thumbs up, the feedback from you. I really enjoy it, and I'm gonna continue, obviously. I'm motivated as ever. And yeah, guys, I'll see you maybe, I don't know, what's the next goal? I don't know, 500,000? I have no idea. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna see you on the next video. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.